Your phone assistant is changing, and it's not a small update. Google is phasing out Google Assistant and moving people to Gemini. But the timeline has slipped. What was supposed to be most devices by the end of 2025 is now pushed into 2026 because Google wants a smoother transition. And this isn't just a new app. Gemini replacing Google Assistant means one thing. Your operating system gets an AI layer. Here's the simplest way to understand it. Google Assistant was built for commands. Set a timer. Call John. Navigate home. Gemini is built for intent. I'm running late. Text them, reschedule, and tell me what I missed. That's the pitch. So what's actually happening, and why should normal people care? First, the replacement is real, but it's not instant. Gemini is already rolling into places where Assistant used to live, like Android, wearables, and Android Auto. Some users have started seeing Gemini appear where Assistant used to be, depending on device, region, and updates. And there's one specific place where the timing matters a lot. The car. If your Assistant changes while you're driving, you notice immediately. And some messaging around Android Auto suggests Google Assistant support could remain there into early 2026 before Gemini fully takes over. Now phones. Google originally framed the upgrade as happening for most devices by the end of 2025. But more recently, the company has acknowledged the switch is now aimed at 2026, basically admitting they're not ready to flip the switch cleanly for everyone. That delay tells you something important. This is hard. Not because Gemini can't talk. It can. It's hard because Assistant is deeply wired into people's daily life. Smart home routines, weird edge cases, offline moments, language coverage, accessibility, and thousands of tiny behaviors people rely on without thinking. Which brings us to the real question. What changes when Gemini becomes the assistant? 3 big shifts. 1. Interaction style. Assistant was command and control. Gemini is conversation and delegation. That sounds nice, but it changes expectations. People will start asking for multi-step actions, and they'll get angry when it half does something or does something wrong with confidence. 2. The assistant becomes a layer across apps. Instead of being a voice feature you occasionally use, Gemini is moving toward being present as an overlay inside Android experiences. The goal is simple. You shouldn't have to jump between apps and screens. You describe what you want, and the system tries to orchestrate it. 3. Trust and privacy become the fight. Because the more agent-like the assistant becomes, the more it touches sensitive stuff. Messages, calls, calendars, purchases, location, photos, home devices. So the real question isn't, is it smarter? It's, do you trust it to act? Now let's address the thing everyone is thinking. Is Google Assistant actually going to die? On most modern devices, yes. That's the direction. Once the transition is final, devices that can run Gemini will stop supporting Assistant the way they used to. But not everyone gets the upgrade at the same time. Older hardware will likely keep Assistant longer. Devices stuck on older Android versions with low RAM or with limited support windows won't transition as fast. So this won't be a clean one day it's gone for everyone. It'll be uneven. So what should you do practically? If you're a normal user, don't panic, but do a quick check of your habits. Ask yourself, do you rely on Assistant for smart home routines? Do you use it in the car every day? Do you use it for calling, messaging, reminders, timers? If yes, you don't need to switch today. But you should test Gemini in low-risk situations now so you're not forced into it on a random day when you're in a rush. And here's the one rule that will save you pain. Assume the first versions of any replacement assistant will be good at talking and inconsistent at doing. Meaning, it'll sound more human, but the success rate on real-world tasks is what decides whether people love it or hate it. That's why this transition matters. Google isn't just swapping a feature. They're trying to replace a decade of muscle memory with a new AI layer. And once that layer is in place, Android stops being apps you open. It becomes, you describe what you want, and the system tries to orchestrate it. That's the real change in logic. So here's the takeaway. Google Assistant isn't being updated. It's being retired, gradually, and Gemini is taking its place across phones, cars, and wearables, with a transition that's now clearly moving through 2026. Whether this feels like an upgrade or a downgrade will come down to one thing. Can Gemini do the boring daily tasks as reliably as Assistant, while adding the new AI brain on top? If the answer is yes, this becomes the biggest UX change on Android in years. If the answer is no, people will turn it off and keep calling it that chatbot thing. Either way, your phone assistant is changing, and it's not a small update.
This transmission ends here. The next one is already forming. Stay aware and subscribe to remain in the signal.